James.
Thank you so much, G. General, do you think you've reached your expiry date within SAPS?
It's a painful statement, Honorable James.
It's a question.
What is the question, Honorable James?
Do you think you've reached your expiry date with all the toxicity within SAPS, within this department?
You are asking the witness.
Yes.
May you please rephrase it?
Excuse me, Chief?
Rephrase it.
Do you think with everything that is currently happening within the environment that you are meant to serve and protect, you have reached, you said you are overwhelmed with everything that is going on?
I'm overwhelmed, but I still believe that I have a contribution to make still. And then given an opportunity by the people of South Africa and the leadership of the country, given an opportunity, I still have time.
Okay. General, yesterday, another shocking revelation was made when you said that over 6,000 dockets within SAPS has gone missing. 6,000 dockets of murder, 6,000 dockets of rape has just gone missing. It's vanished. Of those 6,000 dockets, what percentage of those dockets do we have people, inmates right now? It is costing South Africans 463 Rand per day. You mentioned yesterday that those cases, those people are going to court and back, and they don't know where the dockets are. And this is why I asked, do you think you've reached your expiry date? Can you elaborate on what you told us yesterday with regards to dockets just being missing?
Honorable James, honestly speaking, I wouldn't say they are just missing. I'm saying as the head of detectives, I have a system that is still open. Dockets are not closed. It is my job to trace those dockets where they are, so that the system can be updated. I never said dockets are missing, they are gone, nobody knows where they are. But in what I was trying to demonstrate here was that it shouldn't be that when I said I want to know where the cold cases are, so that I can account for them, then the National Commissioner will say, I wanted the cold case murders because of the Senzo Meiwa case, which is unfortunate. But I have cases that are at IPIT, I have cases that are at DPCI, I have cases that are at ORS, and those cases remain open in the system. I don't say they are missing, they are open in the system. Now, my job is to say, bring all those cases, let us update the system, and let us make sure that the system is updated and the performance of the detectives will improve. Whilst on the other hand, I'm recommending that let the DPCI have their own SAP S6 so that they can be audited on their own and account for their own dockets. Let us have IPIT having its own SAP 6 so that it can also account for its own workload. That is what I was meaning, Honorable Member.
General, you clearly said yesterday that the dockets are unaccounted for, and this is why we have cases being remanded repeatedly. That is what you said, but I'm going to accept your response for now. General, what is your definition of an activist?
An activist is a person who is actually an activist is a person who's I'm looking for the right English word, Chair, who is actually no, it's not a difficult word. It's just this word that is disappearing in my mind. But an activist is a person who is actually not lobbying, but standing for a particular rights and then
championing.
Yeah, maybe it's the right word, championing for a particular, it can be an activist to fight for the drugs, or it can be for the politics, for politicians, or for whatever maybe
Environment.
movement you want to support.
General, you said you described Mr. Brown Mokgotsi as an activist. What is the cause that he stands for?
He's a politician there in Mahike.
A politician for which party?
I think it's the African National Congress.
General, you said that you Googled him despite having access and capacity to properly profile him. Why would you take to Google and not profile him?
I just Googled him to want to know who is this Brown Mokgotsi, and I listened to one of his videos. I didn't profile him.
So someone comes to you and tells you that there's a plot against you, you don't profile him as being the head of crime intelligence, you just Google him.
Yeah, just check who it is, and then from there.
So your evidence is that you accepted several calls and correspondence from Brown Mokgotsi, each time receiving further information from him without once verifying who he was or identifying where his information originated from.
What, can you please repeat, Honorable Member?
In your testimony, General, you said that you know him maybe 5 times less, but you also said that you have accepted several calls and correspondence from Brown Mokgotsi, each time receiving further information from him without once verifying who he really was or identifying where his information originated from.
Oh, I mean, I saw the man is from Northwest, and this is the man that is also on TV. I didn't need to profile him.
Okay. I put it to you that this leaves us with 2 possibilities. Either you were negligent in your duties, or your relationship with Mr. Mokgotsi went far beyond what you are telling this committee today. Because you said to us maybe 5 times less. So which is it? Were you negligent, or do you actually have a relationship with Mr. Mokgotsi?
If you remember very well, committee members, I said I met Brown twice.
General, you also state that you were here for and I know my colleagues has asked this, what was the risk grading for the January 8th event in the Western Cape? What was the risk grading as per JOC?
It's something that I may not respond accurately, but it was obviously high. So the risk grading, I don't deal with the risk grading, but all I know is that it's a major event, and it being a major event, it warrants that the NAJON should take charge of this type of environment, and that is what happened.
Okay, if you are here to ensure that everything's going off smoothly in terms of compliance and safety, surely you should have access to the JOC file.
No, I have access to the JOC. I'm part of them. I am part as the JOC. We sit at the JOC and we monitor the situation.
But you don't know what the risk grading was, because the risk grading will warrant who needs to be there in terms of safety. What I'm trying to get to is the fact that the entire executive, all the senior members within SAPS converged upon the Western Cape during that time, something that is unheard of for any other political party. And you said that this is done for all major events. You said that the same is done. I'm not sure if you said that. Has this ever been done for EFF, DA, MK, or even Action SA? And you also say that it's not the first time that you do this.
Chair, I think that's a political statement that must be attended to. It can be answered by the National Commissioner, perhaps not me.
Okay, that is accepted.
You are not going to answer that?
No, I think it's a political statement. I don't want to.
You could tell us, this committee, that you do it every year annually. You all show up because it's a very important event. Now that I pose a question to you, you say you are unable to answer.
I don't say I'm unable to answer per se, but I feel that it's a political statement because I have had situations where I know that there's deployment made even in all the stadiums because the police are expected to participate in all the stadiums where there are major event of political parties, just to make sure that there's proper control and proper systems put in place, even in terms of traffic, directing traffic in such a way that there's not going to be stampede. Even at the stadium, the normal soccer stadium, you will have such deployments as well.
No, General, the traffic is a responsibility of JMPD as per the JOC application. Everyone has a role to play, not SAPS.
No, they are part of the SAPS deployment.
General, you mentioned yesterday, today again, you mentioned Eldorado Park, Westbury, Cape Flats, what is unfolding. You actually said that, you know what, the same resources that was allocated to PKTT could be deployed to these communities. What have you done since you have recognized that this communities deserves better, they deserve a net joint operation? What have you done in your personal capacity when you've received all of these videos? What operation did you propose? What presentation did you make to sort of launch an operation in any of these communities? Since you mentioned it.
We've employed a brigadier that is dealing with gangsterism at head office to make sure that they put a team together to attend to this. And I personally have been there with some of the senior managers, and then we have ensured that there are people that are arrested, and many people have been arrested as well in relation to what was happening in those areas. But I still believe that more could be done.
I'm asking if you've put through any presentation or made any recommendations for an operation such as PKTT, because you kept on referencing these communities. And it's almost like you wanted to say there's no use for PKTT. You can much rather have a similar operation like this in the Western Cape or in one of these hard-hit communities. So I'm saying, since you have said that, we know a lot has been done, a lot of nothing has been done. But I'm asking you, since you have recognized the fact that there's an issue here, have you made any presentations or recommendations to the National Commissioner saying this is what we can do in these areas?
There is a discussion that I had with the National Commissioner in order to deploy in the gang-infested areas. And that presentation, that discussion with the National Commissioner, it was on the 28th of January. We did have such a presentation where we were agreeing that we need to deploy in areas like Vembe, like Eldorado Park, Westbury, Cape Town, but we did have such a discussion with the National Commissioner because this is something that was discussed.
General, you say that you've gone through those dockets that you had no business fetching because it wasn't as per national instruction when it comes to inspection of dockets, because usually, as we know, when we have these special operations, you usually go to the station within the province, as per my experience with the many operations that we've had in Eldorado Park. And if you want to conduct sort of and do oversight and inspection at the dockets, you send an instruction to the provincial commissioner as well as the station, and all those dockets then get brought forward, and then they go out there and they inspect those dockets there. So I'm not sure why the dockets had to be moved. But anyway, I also want to ask, am I correct in saying that when one studies the relevant statistics relating to the work of the PKTT, it appears that its efforts were in fact guided by the need to address a certain political party's internal factional battles in KZN that has led to recruiting murders. It was a political party, it was infighting, because if I look at all the many murders and the case dockets and the types who are from which political party, I can only pick up one political party, maybe two. Out of all of those political killings, it is only members, mainly of one political party. Am I correct?
No, Councillor.
I'm not a councillor, sir.
My apology. It's just because I'm used to that part, but
I was never a councillor.
Honorable Member,
Thank you.
I apologize.
The apologies accepted.
Accepted.
General, just a moment. Honorable James, may we please take Honorable Ngola?
No, Chair, thanks. Just to remind the Ad-Hoc that there is evidence under oath from the main witness that has confirmed the political demographics in terms of the many political parties affected. Two, Chair, I don't think also it's quite relevant to the terms of reference to always want to be partisan in our approach. Thank you very much. It's a sensitive security matter that we need to be very careful about. Thank you very much, Chair.
Oh, okay. Honorable Matthys.
Thank you, Chair. We must not have the record with incorrect information. Chair, the main witness was very clear that the majority of cases related to political killings are related to the African National Congress. And he was very, very clear about that. So we're not going to mislead here. He mentioned that there was maybe one or two from other political parties, but the majority, he was very clear. It was even your ANC minister, President Cyril Ramaphosa, who instigated the setup of, or the establishment of the political killings task force to deal with ANC leadership battles, because you can't deal with it your own. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Honorable Ngola.
Chair, that's extremely misleading. The main witness made mention further of saying both, particularly the EFF and the AFP, are affected, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal. It's on record, Chair. We can go to the record and look at it. This 1 or 2 is actually not true. But beyond that, Chair, I think let's just avoid to be too much partisan about it, to contaminate a sensitive national security matter with unnecessary politics. Thank you very much, Chair.
Chief Whip.
No, Chair, thanks. I think Honorable Ngola has dealt with this matter. The part that I'm very much concerned about is when Honorable Matthys says it is because that political party was failing to handle its own internal dynamics. Now, I have a problem with that, because none of the witnesses who have come before this committee or the Commission of Inquiry have provided evidence to the fact that the ANC leaders or councillors and councillors who were murdered were equally murdered by ANC members. Now, to suggest that it's an internal battle within a party which results, I would imagine from the logic of that statement, members of that party killing one another, I think it's overstretching the evidence that was presented before us. And that is an area which I think is completely out of order. Thanks.
Okay. I want us to stop debating this matter, because we are still going to have our own time after evidence has been gathered. But just to bring it to your attention that all of you who are in this committee, you are members of parliament and you represent South Africans. You know, when a family loses a member, there is nobody who dies a death of a political party. Death does not have a brand. You can't brand it and say, this one has died a death of the ANC, or this one has died a death of the IFP or any other party that you may want to label it. And I just want to request honorable members that let's be very sensitive with the manner in which we debate, because families have lost their loved ones, and the least they can expect from you as their leadership is your sensitivity and commiserations. You may proceed, Honorable James.
Thank you, Chair. General, to date, what is the total expenditure of the PKTT?
Honorable, in Parliament, in March, it was known to be 415 million. But then there was a further 20 million that was approved, which would then maybe take it to 435 million. But I do know that there was more, something like 94 million or 74 million that was also requested for approval. So basically it's almost nearing 500 million.
Thank you. General, yesterday you mentioned that there were many cases opened up against the team, the PKTT team, in terms of breaking down doors. While they were investigating these cases, do drug dealers knock and ask if they may enter? Because when it comes to addressing certain crime, in my experience, that the approach of skop and donor sometimes is needed. Do you agree or disagree with me?
That approach, it depends on the team that is actually running the operation, and depending on the challenge and the nature of the danger situation they are faced with, Chair.
You mentioned that this team was investigating cases relating to drugs, to murder, to heists. Does that not warrant this type of approach?
Yeah, but it is not every scene that must be approached same way, because sometimes you find that you are in an environment that really needs to be approached very carefully, decently. But sometimes where there are children as well in the house and it doesn't pose any risk or threat. But there are instances where you find that this environment, the intelligence that we have is that there's a group of criminals there and they are armed. The approach will be different.
I'd like to ask you about the allegations that well-known artists such as DJs have been linked to the underworld, particularly in relation to the peddling of drugs on behalf of cartels in nightclubs. Could you enlighten the committee on whether these allegations have any credibility?
There's always reports that are provided by crime intelligence. And then that information is information based on the fact that it is information that is maybe in the pipeline that is being investigated, and they've got evidence or a certain evidence to a certain extent. You will have, there are drugs in the country. There are drugs everywhere in the country, especially in the city of Joburg, in KZN, in Eastern Cape. There are drugs. So I can't say information that lacks credibility when it talks about drugs and firearms. When I don't have anything against that, I can say there's credibility or not.
Okay, General, moving quickly. Counterintelligence operation in Gauteng. How many cases do they have? And what are the case types?
Let me see if this information I will have in my pack. Chair, there's a document that I'm looking for. There's a document to improve performance of the detectives. It was approved. In front of me, Honorable J, document in front of me, Honorable James, just to ask specifically what the question was. I've got national components, counterintelligence. Chair. I don't know whether at this present moment, it's a document that I have, Honorable James, that I can give to you now to show you in terms of the response, but I'm not sure whether it's information that I should give out in public because we're talking counterintelligence now. Chair, I need assistance here. Here's the information that Honorable James is asking, but since it also mentioned counterintelligence, I might also be accused of discussing intelligence information in a platform that is not supposed to be, but I'm prepared to show the honorable members so that she gets the response.
What do you choose to do with that kind of information?
I can show her the answer.
You can show her.
Answer.
Okay.
Can I just?
I'll have a look at it later. I think that was more.
Okay. You can show her when we were about to break. Yeah.
I think that question, Chair, was important for us because that is the operation that has since identified the top 5 in our country, alleged top 5 that is embroiled in drug cartels, where 2 has been identified and there's still 3 missing faces. Am I correct?
No. No. You're not correct there.
So the identification of the top 5, where does that come from?
This is information that has come from.
Sorry, General, can you maybe speak into the mic?
This is information that comes from crime intelligence, but I also have information that was compiled by crime intelligence that does not have those top 5 that that is being spoken about. So it's the top 5. There's nowhere where they appear.
So the top 5 that we've been told, South Africans has been told about, is not the top 5 that is running the drug cartels in our country. And that is connected with political heads and infiltrated the various state departments.
The document that I have that was crafted by crime intelligence doesn't have that.
What is the composition of the counterintelligence operation? You know, when we have operations, obviously it composes of NatJoints. The composition of this counterintelligence, who serves on there?
It's a member of intelligence who works at the intelligence section, but conducting counterintelligence investigations.
Is that all, sir? General?
Is that?
Is that all?
Yes.
So the members are only from within SAP. So when one does intelligence, you haven't roped in NPA and you haven't roped in all the other role players that usually serves on an operation of this nature.
Counterintelligence is not necessarily a multidisciplinary structure. This is intelligence, and you may find that they work with NPA. For them, remember, it is their investigation. So if they have a prosecutor who deals with them, who works with them, they will consult with such a prosecutor so that he gives guidance to their investigation.
So prosecutor NPA is part of the team then?
It's possible.
Does this team fall within your section?
Used to, but not now, not anymore.
Why not, sir?
Because now crime intelligence reports to the National Commission, no longer to NASA.
Okay. My final question. General, my second last question. General, you also mentioned that you're not aware of any political interference within SAPS, but you responded to a question when you said you waited with bated breath to find out who's the new minister, because usually when ministers come in, you could possibly lose your job. Is that not political interference? Not.
Not.
Okay. Yes or no, you attempted to obscure the obvious reality that there are factions within senior management of South African Police Service. Given that there are no holy cows, is it not possible that some of these internal cabals are working in collaboration with drug cartels?
I really can't sit here, National Chair, and say it's not possible or it can't be. Up until it is tested, someone being arrested, connected to the crime, then they must be arrested.
In closing, General, General Kwanaze told us, I'm not sure if you heard, that there's only one scanner. One scanner, 3,000 containers pass through. We are not able to detect if children are in those containers. We are not able to detect if there's drugs in those containers. Is it true? How many scanners do we have at our ports of entry? And also, how many private landing strips do we have in our country?
It's a dangerous statement to make in relation to the fact that whether we have one scanner or how many scanners, because we cannot really go out there and tell the public that we are ailing and we don't have this, we don't have this capacity, we don't have this expertise. And there's no way that the public should know our strength. So as to whether it is 1 or 2 or 3 or 10, I don't know. But the landing strips, we have too many landing strips in the country. It's many. There are private landing strips as well that are really, I don't know whether I should say more than 1,000 or more than 500. I forgot the number, but I do know that there are just too many landing strips. Some of them are private, of course, they are not known.
Thank you, General. I ask these questions in the interest of South Africans so that they can feel secure, but I'm not sure why you're not able to answer.
I was gonna bring that type of information if I knew that such a question in relation to the landing strips can come up. I would be in a position to respond.
Thank you so much. Thank you, General. Thank you, Chief.